My name is Theodore Cottingham, and I share this day, me, on why I teach. I teach because there is love. There is love that we have never known. In this world. There's a love we have yet to define. And I teach to define it, to show you that there is more than religion has ever described to us, promised us, defined to us. There's more to the story. There's more to love. There's more to existence. There's more than this 3D world. There's more than our five-sense mind. We are more than our five-sense mind. We are more than the consciousness that we seek to distill or increase the intelligence of. There's just so much more to the story. And love speaks. I desire to teach you. Love speaks. Love communicates. And love is not God, because God is not love. They are not equal. They are not synonymous. And I've shared, described, discussed this day after day with you for some time now. I don't always feel like recording, but I thought, why do I record? A little while ago. One reason, to let love speak. To let love speak. Not just the cognitive powers or the intelligence, the mind of Theodore Cottingham, but to live, and live love. You see, you have the capacity to know love directly, intimately, the source of all truth, the source of all creation, the source that is not subject to force, mass, acceleration, temperament, temper tantrums, molecules. We are a race that have been deprived of the knowledge of who we are. And the only way to receive this knowledge of who we are that we have been deprived from knowing is to channel it. Is to channel it. To let God speak no more as God, nor worshiping a Bible, nor a spirit of truth, nor a spirit of this, that, or the other. Not worshiping anything. No longer laying our lives down for worship. No longer laying our lives down for the will, somebody else's will for our life. I've discussed this in so many ways and so many details over recent months. I'm not going to try to bring all that back into play. I'm saying there is another existence for you if you want to enter it. You can enter the kingdom of your privilege, promised to you, the eternal infinite promise, the everlasting covenant, the new covenant, the covenant that love would teach you directly. For you to become beholden to no man, no patriarchy, no religion, no book. When you are ready to go to school with love and let love teach you, let love be the teacher in every class. Let love be your guide. Let love be your source. Original source love before this world was ever molecular. Before what we think of this planet being a ball. Before there was ever a God story, we were one. Not one with the earth. We were one mind, one consciousness, one collective. One that knew no sin because there was no law. There were no requirements. Everything was unconditional love. Perfect trust. There were no needs. If we needed anything, we created it. We loved each other. We helped each other. We taught each other. We worked as a collective. We were not subject to flesh. We were not subject to finite because we were infinite. We still are, but that knowledge has been taken from us and erased. And we come through this time on earth like cattle through a chute to be herded off to the slaughterhouse. Slaughtered by God, slaughtered by religion, slaughtered by church, slaughtered by the people that write commentaries and tell you what everything means. Tell you become a new creation by saying a sentence, a sinner's prayer. How ludicrous. Jesus defined becoming born again in John 3:8. So see, there is a body, if you will, a body of your consciousness. There is a body. There is, what else? An invisible, intangible, amorphous body. Your consciousness is not molecular. Your knowledge is not molecular. You're not limited to the storage bins of whatever exists in your neurons. You're not subject to the energy of this particular world, nor any world that wants to use yours. You are a world creator. And you see, we have suffered so. We have suffered so in our ignorance. We have been chained to ignorance. We have been tethered, chained to our five-sense mind, which interprets reality. But there's a greater reality. There's a new view, a new position, a new earth, a new heaven, a new existence, a new heaven, a new earth, a new existence. One where you don't have to strive. One where you're not looking to be on someone else's payroll. or fulfill their ideas of what make you acceptable in their sight. There's no more annual reviews. There's no more authority over you. You don't have the responsibility to please anyone anymore. No one, not even God. Why do I teach? Why do I live? Why do I record when I don't feel like it? Why do I push the button at times to record or go online and speak live when I don't know what I'm going to say? Because I've learned that love will speak. It's a process to learn. John 3:8 says, the wind blows where it will. The wind. Okay, so amorphous, incorporeal, spiritual spirit, consciousness, select one. Form your own idea. Let love guide your creation process of how you interpret this. Let not your emotions overrule the truth of love. Love that says, I will never leave you or forsake you, and even if you make your bed in hell, I am there with you. Why? Inseparable, indivisible. You see all about John 17, that you are one. See, how can you be the first and the last? The last shall be first and the first shall be last, because there's only one. And this one is not a one unitary image in flesh separate from each other. This one is a collective organization. This one is a collective mind. Because all existence is created by us, and we are not separate from our mind, the creation of us. Unless we think we are, because we are the creator. And we can create this separation. See, if I think I'm separate from you, I'm separate from all the people in the middle of battles, on the battlefield. Lebanon, Gaza, Israel, Ukraine, Sudan, all of the countries where there's such great unrest and such brutality being exercised by each other. See, it's very easy to say, I'm not them, not my problem. Distance ourselves from it and separate ourselves from it. We're taught to be so selfish. We applaud, so many applaud arrogance and pompous asses who strut across their stage and use their bully pulpits to sit people before them and feed them shit. They're in the pulpin. They're in the pig pen and don't know the difference. Remember the story of the prodigal son. When the son returned home after taking his inheritance and squandering it, the story goes, when his father saw him, his son, from a long way off, he ran to him, met him, kissed him, hugged him. said to the people, his servants, bring the finest robe. My son has come home. See, this is a picture I give to you and I offer, I suggest, I invite you to consider as love. Completely different than the first 3 Ten Commandments. Thou shalt have no other God before you. Worship me, and thou only shalt thou serve. And if you don't please me, I have created eternal damnation for you, and you will live in hell, and I will visit your sins, your decay, your diseases of not only you, but your children, your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren. It's in the Bible. It's the second commandment. That is not love. That is the opposite of love. That is the root of religion. Control. All of patriarchy is based on control, 100%. I teach because I love. I say sometimes I've met love. I've met her voice. I've met her words. It's not a he, it's a she. That doesn't look like me or you. Perfectly powerful. All powerful. Not transient, but transformational. Love does not seek to give you information to be stored in captivity. Love teaches, love communicates. Love is intimate by nature. Love sees by the words that it gives you. But I suggest in so many ways that love doesn't give you words. If you learn to channel, you receive a stream, a flow. And this is central, crucial, essential to what I teach, how I live, how I love. Love is a flow. True love is unconditional. And perfect love casts out all fear. There's no fear in perfect love. Wherever there is fear, that's not love. So you take all these fear mongers, all these preachers who strut across their stages, talk about hell, the fiery furnace, the stories, Jesus, eternal redemption, eternal life. They're ignorant. They're absolutely ignorant. They haven't divided the word of truth. They haven't rightly divided the word of truth. They think everything is like they think it is, like they read it interpreted in their holy book. They're bludgeoned by what people have taught them. And then they go around bloodying each other. Making disciples, making followers, making people who wait, making people feel powerless because they're not special. And they think Jesus was so special. And they're not. You think you're not special? Jesus was no more superior to you than any person in Sudan or on any battlefield or on any magazine cover. You see, it's time we understood Jesus not through the flesh, not limited to what we think of his flesh, his body, his history. It's time we understand we're not limited to what we see in ourselves in the mirror or read in the headlines. There's another way to live. There's another life to live. And you can live the life of love. You can live love as you. Pardon me. And this is why I teach. And this is why I exist. And this is why I change so often. I've changed the name of the school multiple times. I've changed how I do what I do. I've changed the message because I've learned, because I've matured, because I have sought correction. I begged for correction. A number of times, especially in recent months, I've talked about aspects of my path. But there were years I prayed over and over, God, correct me, judge me, and discipline me. Correct me, judge me, discipline me. I don't want to go around that mountain one more time. I don't want to sit under another sermon where somebody stomps around and yells or reads their text, reads a canned sermon, and tell me they're the agent of God and that what I feel is the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God in the house of God, when all I wanted to do was run because it looked like control and it smelled like control. I teach because there's another way to live, and there's another way to know information besides just what you read in the newspapers, what you read on your phone, your computer, what you listen to on television. There's a source to be connected with of pure light, love, and peace. If you want to, if you want it enough, if it becomes the primary objective of your life. And if it's second, you will learn some things, but you will not fulfill your privilege. When you want love more than you want your breath, and I don't mean just giving words to it. I mean where it's one of the primary thoughts throughout the day, throughout the night. You quest. You are a creator, and love creates. Love will teach. Love will teach all about the great allegory and use many metaphors and allegories, double entendres. With its own unique diction and grammar, syntax, use of negatives and double negatives, comparisons, contrast, redefining things and providing connotations of nuance for your understanding to divide truth from that which looks like truth, that which feels like truth, because we've been so inundated with it. We haven't known how to grow up. And this is why I teach. Where you will learn to teach you. I won't be here always. I may be in a different form. If you read my first book, one of the things when my quest began, there were so many one-sentence prayers that I prayed, maybe thousands of times. Just like oh God, judge me, correct me, discipline me. But see, I say that, you hear these words. You may not realize it took me months to get that out of my mouth. And I was literally afraid at that time to ask God to judge me, discipline me. I was afraid. So many people fear God, fear the wrath of God. That's not love. I teach to love, to share love, to grow love. I teach for you to learn, to teach you, to share with you. There's another way. There's a learning system. There's a system of education. And when you graduate, you don't have any debt. But it costs you everything. Because this limited existence we no longer hold on to. Because to graduate in the school of cosmic leadership that I lead, that's what I call it at the moment, to denote where we're going, how we graduate. It's John 3:8. Everyone who is born again, born of the Spirit, born of love, reborn, experiencing the new birth, is like the wind. You can't see where it comes from or where it goes. It's amorphous. It's a consciousness. It's a complete existence, not limited to the five-sense mind or the mass or matter. The whole idea, molecules, protons, neutrons, electrons, mass, matter, how much of that is empty space, do you know? Most of it, the great majority of it, is empty space. So if that's true, how come we're seeing things? Why do they seem tangible? Everything about the message of Jesus was about the message of you. And that's why there was no control in any of the motive. He had become love. He had met love. Love is a consciousness. Love is an awareness. Love is a state of being. Love is a power. Love is a source. Love does not limit you. Love does not give you 10 commandments. Love teaches you to mature in the values of the King, the Creator, so that you create, recreating you. I teach for you to learn a new learning system so that you will not hold on to me or my flesh or any other flesh person or any other book, because there is such a difference in the words, in the power of the words, in the transformation of receiving something, a stream of energy, a flow of love, that you then allow the light of love and the love of light to connect with some kind of syllables that are arranged to come out in a way that you can speak and record, you can write and share and mature and become operational in the infinite. The kingdom of heaven is within you. You are the first and the last. And you, my friend, of your world, of your consciousness, how you perceive the world, what you consider the world you're in. You are the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and in the end, the first and the last. You see, when you come into the fullness of light, a level of understanding that those children being bombed, maimed in other countries, your brother and sister, we have been taught to learn without love. Let us learn to love again, to love each other. The things that Jesus did, I suggest to you, he wanted you to do. The message of love, you feed them. You walk on water. See, all these things I suggest to you had purpose to show each and every one of us that this world is the false that appears real. It's a facade. It's a framework. Our minds interpret this and turn it into matter that seems to have mass. Our minds do this, not our spirit. Spirit, consciousness. There's just so much more to the story. And I've taught and I've taught. And I've recorded. Can you imagine? There's over 2,000 recordings on my channel. More than 2,000. And I have so many documents on my computer where I channel the first person words of love. Did not edit. Multi-page messages on my computer that I haven't, they're not online. There's something about being intimate with love. Transcendent, transformational. One of the little prayers that I prayed so often, I call them the little prayers. They're in my book. You might can find a copy. It's really not in print now. I self-published it in 2000, called God in Business, because I wanted to be a businessman. I didn't want to be a preacher. But it has a lot of my path in it. And one of those little prayers was, "Oh God, teach me and teach me to teach." I didn't know where that was going. But I learned later, love told me that love asks many questions. Love gives many ideas. Love is the eternal, infinite mind, a collective consciousness of, that we are connected to, that we continually resist and try to destroy, exalting our own mind and our cognitive powers and our five sense mind, not realizing what we're doing. But the education of kings, well, the Bible can say kings. The education of creators, creators of love, is created by creators who will listen to love, teach them directly. This is an entire system of education. When I talk about channeling love, I'm talking about love will teach you how to read, how to speak English if it's not your first language. Because we're coming back into the language of one that does not demand the usage of syllables, because we're not limited to this flesh or these lungs. We are unlimited, infinite beings of light, love, and purpose to be no other. This is the real me. This is becoming who you are. That's why I talk about the real you, the real you, the real you, the real me. The real me being in your mirror who sees you are not separate from the original creation before earth was ever formed. You're unlimited. You do not have to prostrate yourself before anyone else or kneel down before any king, any robe, any authority. You can walk out into the cosmos. You can operate in the cosmos. You want to go to Andromeda this afternoon? You think it's ludicrous, preposterous, impossible. But not long ago, people were afraid they'd sail off the edge of the earth. They thought the Milky Way was all that existed. They didn't have James Webb Telescope, Hubble Telescope. There was no science. See, one thing about science, if you will, science, medicine, whatever, all of that, at least they build on each other. Religion is stagnant. It wants to canonize in order to control. So the knowledge May have been right, may have been wonderful, may have been attributable to love at one time. But there's more to the story. There's more to know. There's love to flow, and there's a flow to love. And this is why I teach. I don't know that I'm teaching you to teach very well, but I'm teaching love, and love being the crucial motive for you to begin to learn to operate transcendent of your five-sense mind by learning to flow love, or I call it channeling. For you to become your word, so that you are not just speaking a language, you are becoming that energy that is not subject to protons, neutrons, and electrons. I don't know how many times I think you got to smile. This is meonics. Meonics? What's the root word of meonics? Meon. Me on, not me off. It's me on. Light on. Meon, made up of me's. The collective consciousness. There's a collective consciousness that you begin to operate in the world that's not seen anymore as the infinite, intangible, invisible. But you begin to enter into that, to communicate with the individual lovers who comprise it. Never lacking friends again. Never again begging for a bed, a place to sleep at night. Never again trying to avoid a hurricane or tornado, a battlefield, a bomb. Redefining who we are, what we are, a race of, where we are, what our capacity is. I am doing, speaking, loving, teaching, because I have channeled the words. And you, this day, this moment, you can go online. You can go to my website, theodorcottingham.com, and you can see up above on a menu, My Covenant. You can click on My Covenant. It'll redirect you to a website that's searchable. I hope to merge those two sites at some point, but I don't know how to do it. Where did the word meonics come from? How did I learn these things? How is this reality so real to me? I not only read the words, folks, I wrote them. Over 10,000 pages. And it's progressive. You see, please understand, you grow it. You grow into this. The tree of life. You grow. You see, when the prodigal returned home, the dad said, bring the fatted calf, bring a robe, put a ring on his finger, Let us be merry. Let us have a feast, celebrate. In other words, took him, accepted him, loved him, completely unconditionally, exactly where and what he was at that moment. He didn't tell him to go take a bath. He didn't tell him to go clean up and then come to the parlor. He ran. It didn't matter what he smelled like. A flow of unconditional love is covering this planet now. Because I am here. And if you read those words, hear those words, and think I'm issuing them in separation as a separate, mortal, flesh man, you can think I'm arrogant, deluded. But if you understand my teachings, if you understand the flow of love, you begin to understand this consciousness of the collective, of the unitary mind that operates in frequencies in a state of energy not dependent upon ours. I am. Because I and I am are one. I, this mortal finite, have become one with the eternal, infinite, collective consciousness, the feminine divine, before divinity was ever defined. Remember the story of the prophet up against an army? The servant said, "Oh boy, this is not going to end well. We're outnumbered. We're in deep trouble." And the story goes, God opened the eyes of the servant to see that there were more with them than all of their adversaries. But his two eyes he couldn't see with. You see. The wind, the invisible, the immortal infinite, the interdimensional. You see, we're no longer holding ourselves back. We're learning to teach each other, hopefully. We're learning to be taught from the great within, the unlimited infinite. Motived by love, with love, loving love first. No longer creating separation from this eternal, infinite, vast consciousness of the collective mind of love. You see, it's a different story. It's much more vast. And it is empowering. It's anything. It's the opposite of saying, you have an image of God, worship God, serve God, seek the will of God, and if you mess up, hell is waiting on you, and you'll be eternally in the fires of hell, damned to darkness. That's not love. That's control. And the root of control is patriarchy. Patriarchy is the root of control. All innate, all natural brutality comes from the desire to control. Love comes to you as the king. When you see love and you begin to meet love, love comes to you in utter, ultimate humility. Love comes to you in the humility of a child. There's no pompous airs. There's no arrogance. It is completely unconditional love. Unconditional. No matter what you've done or not done. No matter what life you've lived. The unconditional opening of my arms of heaven. Heaven, the mind of the eternal infinite. Will say, come. Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Words of love may inform, but words of love through your mouth, through your pen that you write, that you speak and record, that you are willing to flow by the motive of love, transforms. Those words through your mouth literally, physically change the neuronal pathways in your mind, your brain. Physically, physical transformation. You see, this thing between our ears is rewiring itself all the time, making new connections. Don't you ponder something sometime in the evening, and the next morning you wake up with what you think is an answer? You're never unconnected to the eternal infinite within, the consciousness. Religion creates a divide and conquer, carrot and stick, heaven and hell, Hyde and Jekyll. But those stories no more leave us in the lamentations of man. I just looked. I thought maybe I'd talk for 10 minutes, and it says 54 minutes. I go now. I have really changed a lot in the 21 years since I began writing on a yellow tablet with my pen, the first person words. You can find it. You'll find the first one dated in March of 2003. You can go online and search for 1.1.1. That's the reference system. Database 1, Volume 1, Lesson 1. There's 7 volumes. Altogether in the 7 volumes, there's 2,400 lessons. There's a referencing system. So if I say 1.5, 101, you know, to find, look up, search, read, connect your consciousness with what love is given. Database 1, Volume 5, Lesson 101. And you can add one more dot, which denotes the paragraph. Some are only a few sentences. Most of them are 4 or 5 single-spaced pages. I think the longest one, as I recall, is about 37 pages long. But most of them are 3 and 4 if you print them out on 8.5 by 11 single-spaced pages. There's a lot of information. There is a learning system given within these words. To inspire you, to enable you, to empower you, to give you sight. To see by these words into the kingdom within you of your power, might, and beauty, so that you can enter it, that you can enter this mind of the eternal, infinite, interdimensional, non-molecular. And this is why I teach. I love you. I go now. My website is theodorcottingham.com. And you can write me for now. Email Theodore Eureka, the Gmail. I'm in Eureka Springs for now, for the moment. I don't plan to stay here. I won't die here. I love you. I go now. Thank you for sharing this time and these words. Pray, surrender to the love of one, the infinite, essential, corporate, universal source of original love, light, and peace. Ask it to teach you and teach you to teach. Incorporate these words in your mind, your thinking. Ask questions. Ask the hard questions. Record these. Write it, outline them. Write a course. Write a book. Let love flow. I love you. I love you all. Let love flow. Find your voice. The voice of yours that is love, where love is your father, love is your mother. You are the womb, receiving the words of perfect love, unconditional love, light and joy, transforming all that computes you and all that you compute and all the algorithms that run on your mainframe and no longer limit you to all the words that have been given you, but begin to flow the words of the infinite within to rewire and connect and visionate, to see with eyes beyond the two in your head. See through the words that transform you into a being of perfect light. This is what born again means. This is a new creation I've described to you, and I ask you to become it. Do all the things that Jesus did and more. Whatever I do and more. Release each other to free be and create the new land of promise, of opportunity, of perfect joy with no lack. Heal them all. I love you. I go. TheodoreCottingham.com. Good day.